So picture this. You have the absolute perfect day mapped out.
Oh, yeah, like color-coded calendar perfection.
Exactly. I mean, you wake up exactly on time. Your morning coffee is brewed to, that precise temperature you like.
Right.
And you know exactly where you need to be at every single hour. So you walk out the door feeling, well, completely unstoppable.
It is a phenomenal feeling, honestly, while it lasts. I mean, every single piece of the puzzle is just clicking into place.
Yeah.
And your brain is basically bathing in dopamine because the world is behaving, well, exactly the way you predicted it would.
Exactly. But then, you step onto the street and the sky just opens up like a massive, completely unforecasted rainstorm hits.
The worst.
Right. Or, you get to the station and the board says your train is delayed by an hour.
Right.
And you finally get to work kind of shaking off the rain, and your boss drops this urgent, massive task on your desk right when you're about to leave for dinner you've been looking forward to all week.
And just like that, the entire beautiful schedule is completely ruined.
Complete.
And suddenly, that feeling of being unstoppable, it just vanishes. It's replaced by this huge surge of cortisol and pure frustration.
Right. And later that night, you're lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, and your chest feels incredibly tight. I mean, you're tossing and turning, feeling this intense anxiety.
Yeah, you feel like the entire day was a total failure, purely because things just did not go your way.
Which is exactly what we are going to unpack today. So, welcome to this deep dive. Today's session is actually perfectly tailored for you, especially if you are an English learner looking for some really profound ideas, but delivered at a relaxed, comfortable pace.
Absolutely. We want to keep the vocabulary accessible, but still dive deep into the concepts.
Yeah, exactly. Because we are pulling from a really fascinating stack of sources today. We've got clinical psychology journals, modern behavioral science research, and some really brilliant philosophical essays.
A great mix.
It really is. And our mission today is to explore the beauty of unpredictability. We want to unpack why we absolutely hate it when our plans change, and then look at how to completely flip our mindset to embrace those unexpected detours.
And along the way, we're going to pick up some really beautiful, practical English vocabulary.
Yes. Let's start with that initial emotional drain we feel when things go wrong. Why does a delayed train or, a sudden rainstorm feel like a personal attack?
It really does feel personal, doesn't it?
It does. The sources point out that we are conditioned to believe that having everything under control is the only way to feel safe.
Yeah.
But what is actually happening in our brains there?
So to understand the psychology, we have to look at what behavioral scientists call predictive coding.
Okay. Predictive coding.
Right. Your brain is essentially this big anticipation machine. It is constantly making predictions about what is going to happen next, mostly to conserve energy.
If I know what's coming, I don't have to think as hard.
Exactly. When your prediction matches reality, like when the train arrives exactly on time, your nervous system relaxes. But in our modern high-stress world, we've kind of taken this natural survival mechanism and pushed it into absolute overdrive.
We want to predict every single minute of the day.
Precisely. And because we live these fast-paced lives with constant pressure, our nervous systems become highly rigid. We lose that psychological elasticity.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, and so we fall into a very specific psychological trap. It's called the illusion of control.
The illusion of control. I mean, that sounds like a magic trick we play on ourselves just to feel secure.
That is honestly the perfect way to describe it. It's this false belief that perfect plans create a perfect life.
Right.
We trick ourselves into thinking we have power over variables that are just entirely outside our hand, like the weather or traffic or other people's moods.
Yeah, we completely ignore the fact that change is the actual constant in the world.
Exactly. We treat our lives like a rigid script. We act as if we are the omniscient director of a movie, and we have to control every single actor and prop.
Okay, I hear the psychology behind that, but let me push back just a little bit here.
Sure.
Isn't planning inherently a good thing?
Yeah.
I mean, we need schedules to function. If I don't plan my week, literally nothing gets done. So why does a single schedule change make us feel like the entire day is ruined?
It's a really great point, and the distinction there lies in the rigidity of the plan.
The rigidity, okay.
Right. Planning, just as a basic framework, is necessary. The problem is how tightly our minds are gripping that plan. When your nervous system is already rigid from chronic stress, A small change doesn't just register as a logistical adjustment.
What does it register as?
Your brain's alarm system actually misinterprets it as a threat to your overall safety.
Wow. So it's like my brain is a GPS system, right?
Yeah.
And the moment I miss a turn or hit a detour, instead of just quietly rerouting, the GPS starts screaming, recalculating, we're all going to die.
That is exactly it.
And I'm just gripping the steering wheel in an absolute panic.
Yeah, and when you resist the unknown that intensely, you generate massive emotional friction.
Right.
Every time the world refuses to match your internal script, your brain fights it. And that is just incredibly exhausting.
It really is. And I think that friction perfectly brings us to the first set of English vocabulary we want to gently introduce today.
Oh, yes. Let's talk about some of these phrases.
So when our carefully laid plans fail, a native speaker might say the plans fell through.
Right, to fall through. Like, my plans completely fell through today. It means they didn't happen.
Exactly. And when that happens, we often discover our inner control freak.
A control freak, that's a great term. It's someone who obsessively needs to command every single situation. Like, I need to let go of my inner control freak.
Yeah. And that obsession comes from that illusion of control we talked about and the rigidity of our mindset. Rigidity meaning, being stiff or inflexible.
Right, like a rigid branch on a tree in a storm.
Yeah.
Because it refuses to bend with the wind, it just snaps.
It just snaps. We throw a tantrum because reality didn't read our script.
Exactly.
So if gripping the script too tightly just causes us anxiety, if it makes us snap like that branch, how do we actually loosen our grip without feeling completely lost?
Well, the sources offer a really beautiful mindset shift here. We have to move away from viewing life as a rigid script and apply what they call the life as jazz filter.
The life is jazz filter. Okay, I love jazz. How does that help us?
So think about the fundamental difference between classical music and jazz.
Okay.
Classical music operates exactly like that rigid daily planner. You have sheet music. Every single note is planned out years in advance. The musician's only job is perfect execution.
Right. Like if you play a note that isn't on the page, it's a mistake.
It's an error. It ruins the performance.
The audience would literally gasp.
Exactly. But jazz is built entirely on the mechanics of improvisation. There is no strict sheet music dictating every second.
Right. You just have a general key and a tempo.
Yeah, and the musicians are creating the melody in real time. They're reacting to each other and their environment.
So if a jazz musician accidentally plays like an unexpected note, the band doesn't stop and yell, cut.
Never. In fact, there is a famous saying in jazz, there are no wrong notes, only unexpected starting points.
Oh, I love that.
If you play a strange note, a master jazz musician doesn't panic. They lean into it. They repeat it. They use that accidental note as a starting point for a brand new, incredible melody.
That is such a brilliant way to frame it. But okay, let me play devil's advocate for a second.
Go for it.
If I'm at work
Yeah.
and my boss asks for an urgent report by 3 p.m., I can't just hand in a blank piece of paper and say, hey, man, I'm playing jazz with the deadlines today. Let's improvise.
Right. No, that gets you fired.
Exactly.
Why?
So where is the line between, healthy adaptability and just being irresponsible?
That is the crucial distinction. Playing jazz does not mean abandoning your goals. Even jazz musicians agree on what song they're playing before they start.
Okay, that's true.
You still aim to deliver that report by 3 p.m., but the jazz filter applies to the route you take to get there.
Oh, the route.
Right. So if your computer crashes at 2 p.m., the rigid mindset panics and says, the plan failed, I am doomed. But the jazz mindset says, okay, the computer crashed. This is an unexpected note. How do I improvise?
Do I grab a whiteboard? Do I call my boss and pivot the presentation?
Exactly. You are still playing the song, but you're completely flexible about how the melody develops.
It's about being stubborn on the destination, but totally flexible on the journey.
Precisely. When life interrupts your plans with a delayed train or a sudden rainstorm, it's just the universe handing you a different instrument.
And inviting you to improvise.
Yes. And when we stop viewing those interruptions as threats, we actually open the door to one of the most magical concepts in the research.
Which is?
Serendipity.
Oh, serendipity. That is such a beautiful English word.
It really is. It's the phenomenon of finding something incredibly valuable or inspiring by pure chance, like without actually looking for it.
And the sources emphasize that serendipity almost never happens on a perfectly planned route.
Never. Efficiency is basically the enemy of serendipity. The best inspirations usually happen during the detours.
So if we contrast these two mindsets for our listeners, let's apply this jazz filter to real life Instead of thinking, my plan didn't work, I failed, we should think,
This path is blocked. Let's see where fate takes me.
right. And instead of seeing the unknown as a threat, we view it as a blank space, a chance to improvise.
An invitation for spontaneity.
Spontaneity. That's another great vocabulary word for today. It means, doing things naturally and freely without planning.
Right. It's choosing to just go with the flow.
Go with the flow. I use that phrase all the time.
It's such a helpful visual. You're trusting that the river has a current, and sometimes you just have to drop the oars.
Yeah, let the water carry you. You might see scenery you never would have found if you kept fighting the current.
Exactly. Embrace the detours of life.
Okay, so I am fully on board with this jazz philosophy during the day. But what happens late at night? Because the sources dedicate a lot of time to the nighttime, which is when this whole philosophy usually just completely falls apart for me.
Oh, it is the ultimate testing ground.
It really is. You're lying in bed, the lights are out, the house is silent, and suddenly your brain decides to just pull out a filing cabinet of everything you failed to control that day.
Yep, the inner control freak wakes up.
Grabs a megaphone, right, and starts listing all the unpredictability waiting for you tomorrow. Why does our brain torture us like that at night?
So this is linked to what psychologists call the Zeigarnik effect.
The Zeigarnik effect.
Right. It basically dictates that our brains remember interrupted or incomplete tasks far better than completed ones.
Wait, really?
Yeah. So because your day didn't go according to the perfect plan, your brain treats the whole day as an incomplete task.
Oh, wow. So it just refuses to shut down.
Precisely. During the day, you have distractions. But at night, in the dark, it's just you and the Zeigarnik effect. Your brain is desperately trying to close the loops on all the plans that fell through.
That makes so much sense. That's why just telling yourself to relax never works.
Never. You need an active cognitive process to offload that mental burden.
Which brings us to a really practical tool from the research, the unwinding ritual.
Yes, a 3-step practice for the end of the day.
I want to set a really cozy scene for our listeners here. Imagine you're in bed. Maybe there's a soft, misty rain outside, just kind of blurring the city lights.
Very calming.
Right. And your mind is racing. The first step of the ritual is to consciously release the script. How do we do that?
Lying in bed, you take a deep breath. You bring to mind that uncompleted to-do list and you actively tell it, it's okay, let it be.
Let it be. Like the Beatles song?
Exactly like the song.
Yeah.
You acknowledge that you don't have to be responsible for everything that happens in the world. You mentally release your grip.
Release my grip. That's a great vocabulary phrase. It means to literally and figuratively let go of trying to control things.
Right. And once you release your grip, you move to step 2. Appreciate the detour.
This is where we look for the micro surprises, right?
Yes. Finding that tiny piece of serendipity in the chaos.
Like maybe that delayed train meant you got to listen to a great new song. Or a canceled plan just means you get to lie in bed earlier tonight listening to this deep dive.
Exactly. You are finding gratitude for the gentle accidents. It trains your brain to see that unpredictability isn't always a disaster.
Which perfectly sets up the third and final step. Rest in the unknown.
This is about letting your body sink into the mattress and looking at tomorrow differently.
Right, because tomorrow is completely unwritten. It's full of unpredictability.
And we usually see that as a threat. But think about a blank page in a notebook. Yes, it has unpredictability. But that unpredictability is the exact same thing as infinite possibility.
Unpredictability is infinite possibility. I love that.
Yeah.
You literally can't have one without the other.
Right. If your life was perfectly scripted, you would never experience another moment of serendipity again. There would be no surprises.
That is so true.
Yeah.
So we've covered some great vocabulary for this nighttime ritual too. Being flexible, which means you can bend without breaking.
Saying, let it be.
Right. And embracing unpredictability.
Exactly.
So to wrap up this ritual, the sources suggest a sort of healing affirmation as you drift off.
A way to replace the anxious noise with a calming narrative.
Right. Imagine the warm, crackling sound of a vinyl record playing in the background, and you just tell yourself, I release my grip on how today should have been. I embrace the beauty of unpredictability tonight. My mind is open, my heart is flexible, and I trust the flow of my life.
I trust the flow of my life. That is really beautiful. When you stop demanding that the river flow exactly the way you mapped it out, you can finally lean back and enjoy the ride.
So as we wrap up today's deep dive, from predictive coding to playing jazz with your life, what's the final takeaway for our listener?
Well, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to ponder as you drift off tonight.
Okay, let's hear it.
We spend so much energy trying to perfectly plan out our tomorrows. We try to build this fortress against the unknown, but considering that serendipity only happens when things go wrong, what if the absolute best thing that could happen to you tomorrow is something you haven't even thought to put on your schedule yet?
Oh, wow. What if that sudden rainstorm tomorrow isn't there to ruin your perfect day, but to force you under an awning where you meet someone amazing?
Exactly. Someone who changes the trajectory of your life.
Let that thought sit with you tonight. The universe isn't out to get your calendar. The next time the sky opens up and the rain washes your perfect plans away, just remember, the world isn't breaking, it's just playing jazz.
Beautifully said.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Rest easy in the unknown.